Hi guys, my name is Marco, and this is my talk for Unreal as the official Unreal Engine Houston chapter lead. And this talk is called More Than Games, the Many Paths of Unreal Engine. So yeah, I am not gonna tell you what Unreal is yet, because the first thing I wanna do is I wanna hook you into wanting to learn what Unreal is. So I'm gonna show you what Unreal can do first, and then I'll show you what Unreal is. So if you don't know it, then it's going to be very, very difficult to understand. But you've already seen Unreal. Not necessarily the viewport or the way the software looks, but you've already seen Unreal in different mediums, and I'll talk about that in a second. You just don't know it yet. So I have a couple of questions, and I want you to think about this in your head. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite video game? And have you watched anything on Disney Plus lately? It's very specific to that because I'll get to it in a second. But one of the more unique questions is, does your car have a touchscreen? And that one is already a little confusing. But again, like I said, I'll get to that and I'll show you an example of a car actually using Unreal for that very reason. So again, all of these have something in common, and most of you had no idea till I said it right now, but most of you had no idea at this point. But let me explain something. These are all Unreal Engine. So you have Fortnite, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, The Mandalorian, Rivian Trucks, Tron Ares, and Lockheed Martin wasn't made in Unreal. It's a company, but they use Unreal. And just to knock games out of the way very fast, because again, it says more than games, not just games. So you've probably played these before. Fortnite, 650 million registered players worldwide. Already Fortnite is, again, it is Epic Games test bed for Unreal Engine. So that one's already kind of a given. It was obviously made in Unreal Engine, and a lot of people play it. And how many people have played Fortnite here if you raise your hands? Have you? Yeah, everybody here has played Fortnite. Continuing on, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Wait, I did this, I forgot. But yeah, then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth by Square Enix is a massive open world RPG. That one is made in Unreal Engine 4. So that's another example. Can you imagine, think about it this way, or rather think about it. Unreal is so big and so, it's so prevalent that it's in Japan. A lot of companies, a lot of AAA companies are starting to use Unreal, and a lot more AAA companies are going to start using Unreal sooner than later, because I don't cover this in the talk. The reason why is that it is easier to find people to hire that when the software is already out there for you to learn, versus somebody trying to learn something like the Crytek engine when it's harder to get. So that's why. So the next one is Kingdom Hearts. Yes, Disney World's anime style built in UE4. Kingdom Hearts 3, not 1 and 2, but 3, is now in Unreal. In fact, they actually have a Epic Games Unreal Engine video on the official YouTube channel, how they used Unreal Engine to make Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you like Sora and Kingdom Hearts, which I know there might be a lot of people my age that do, millennials definitely like Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just very confusing. That was made in Unreal Engine. There's Persona 3 Reload, one of my favorite games, the one I'm actually playing every night for the past few weeks.
Like, there's a Persona game made on Unreal. Hold on.
It's actually the first Persona game ever in Unreal. The next one is Persona 4, which is coming out Sunday. They already made the announcement, and they already put the logo of Unreal Engine there. So the next Persona game, Persona 4, something, I forgot what it's, something with an R. It's going to be in Unreal Engine as well. So Persona 3 Reload, there's also a very beautiful video. I should have put it by this guy who knows about shaders and the way post-processing works, about the breakdown of Persona 3 with Unreal Engine. So it's really cool. And then another one that I'm playing right now, Arc Raiders. Does anybody else play Arc Raiders? No? It's so good. So that one is what won the best multiplayer at the Game Awards this past year, and it was made in Unreal Engine. So
I'm pretty sure Marvel Rivals is also made on Unreal.
is it? I think it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, you've probably played or seen these games, and they were all inside of Unreal. But like I have at the very bottom of this subtext, games are just the start, and that's what the whole talk is about. Unreal Engine more than games. Okay, so cool. What else do we use Unreal for? Film and TV. So, yeah, some of your favorite shows were, some of them were made using Unreal, but primarily they had the assistance of Unreal when it came to making them. So like virtual production. So The Mandalorian, LED wall virtual production. So the actors performed in front of a massive screen rendering real-time environments, no green screen. And the way that helps, rather the biggest or the best difference, or just the difference, is that when you have green screen, let's say you and me are acting together, right? We're in a rainforest, and all we know is that the director said, you're in a rainforest, it's very humid, it's very wet, you're kind of bothered. And we have nothing to see, right? And you and me have to kind of put ourselves there. But with a virtual production screen, which is a massive LED wall, inside of Unreal, they make the environments, they can project that onto those giant TVs. Now, me and you can feel like we're there, but when they record us, they can see the lighting of the forest interact with us. And in real time, they can change that from day to night. So you can have a night forest and a day forest, and that lighting can interact with us. So that's what they used it for. So what other shows? Fallout from Amazon. In-camera VFX using Unreal Engine, real environments blended with real-time digital worlds on set. Same thing. Did anybody here know that Fallout was made using that? No? I actually know. I actually am in contact with one of the guys at Twisted Media, which is one of the companies that worked on Fallout, and I've been talking with him about all this stuff, and it's been really cool learning that. Dune Part 2, Dune 3, Dune Part 3 just got announced. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the stuff for it, but Unreal used for pre-production, shot planning, visualizing scenes in the harsh desert environment before filming. So there's this thing called previs, and so it's like, imagine like I'm sure some of you, the audience here knows what low poly stands for, or what it is, but imagine like a lower fidelity animation version of it before it gets shot. So now, not only can the actors know how to walk towards like something and see it, and how the actors are supposed to be moving together, how like the giant, what are they called, the dune worms called? What are those called? Sandworms, dune worms, how they're supposed to come out of the ground. They see it in Unreal. So they know the director knows how to walk off of that, like how to go with that. So they can direct that and figure it out first, and then they can record and all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. So that's what previs was, that's what it was used for, Unreal. Previs for Dune Part 2. And Tron Ares did this, but they did it in a unique way. So production designers built the entire grid world in Unreal. The director reviewed the 3D art in VR using Unreal. So now he went a step further, and instead of just looking at it on the screen, he put himself inside of the project in the previs and on the whole grid world thing, you know? Imagine doing that for like a game that you're playing, you know, you're planning the game, you're planning the game, and you put yourself in VR in that world to know how things feel, not just proportions and scaling, but the ambience, the lighting, the sound. That's just next level. So yeah, it's been used in film and TV, and that's just nuts. But from film and TV, we go into animation. So did you guys know that these used Unreal? So we have The Amazing Digital Circus, Love, Death, and Robots, War is Over, and K-pop. This one, K-pop Demon Hunter, they just talked about that a few days ago. And I didn't even know that, and that blew my mind. So the first one, we have The Amazing Digital Circus. It's an indie YouTube series. And so it was animated in Maya, rendered entirely in Unreal Engine. And if you haven't seen it, it's really good. It's one of my favorite shows. But yeah, it was rendered in Unreal, and we can move on to Love, Death, and Robots. The specific episode that was rendered in Unreal was Involted, Hulls Entombed. So it was Netflix, obviously. Sony Pictures, ImageWorks built it fully in Unreal. So this is a very pivotal, episode or animation, because it was the first time metahumans were used in linear content. So like a a whole episode was made using metahumans, and that's really nuts. And metahumans is we can talk about that later, or it's something that you can research on your own. It's Unreal's proprietary human builder, like their actual human model builder thing. But yeah, then you have War is Over. This one's a little bit unique because not a lot of people know of it. But it's if you guys know who Weta FX is, it's a massive VFX company. They used Unreal Engine 5 for this short. And so it was directed by Peter Jackson, which is a really notable name. And yeah, and then this is the biggest one for me because I mean, a lot of people have watched K-pop Demon Hunters and it's so good. But Netflix they just had a bunch of not developers but behind the scenes, and they just showcased that K-pop Demon Hunters also used Unreal, but they used it for previs and not rendering, which is interesting because you're using previs for an animation and not for a live action thing. And then moving it over to something else like Maya or whatever they use. I think it was Maya. I think it might have been another DCC, but they rendered it over there instead, which is interesting. You know, it's kind of confusing, but it kind of makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, these animations were rendered in Unreal. So you have Unreal in your games, or rather your games were made in Unreal, and some of your favorite, films were, made using Unreal. And then now more animations are starting to come out, announcing that they've used Unreal to make them. So it's becoming bigger and bigger. But it doesn't stop there. It's not just media we consume, but it's media that we also use to help people, and media that we use to assist, not just help people, but teach people something. So you have XR, VR, and simulation. And this is kind of where I lived at when I first got picked up through my career. And I'll get to that in a bit. So the Apple Vision Pro, Unreal natively supports Vision OS. Developers can build spatial computing apps and experiences directly in Unreal. I actually have personal experience with this because in my last job, I did develop for the Apple Vision Pro for the company that I was working with. Which is really insane because it's like next gen VR. And I don't know if anybody here has ever worn an Apple Vision Pro, but it's not like an what is it called? And what is Meta's, Facebook's?
Oculus.
Yeah, it is not like an Oculus. It's completely different. When you talk to other people in it in a call, like FaceTime, but through Apple Vision Pro, it is a whole different experience. It feels like they're literally there. So the next one is military. I can't really press space because there's not really much.
Training.
Yeah, military training. So Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Hamilton was actually the first company that I worked for. And Cubic Defense all use Unreal for US and NATO military training simulations. Not just them, but there's DCS Corporation. That was my last job. We used military training we use Unreal for that and creating digital doubles, which is like if we had a plane and we wanted to teach people how to use that plane or how to keep it, how to maintain it, we would actually train them using Unreal. So we would train them using an Unreal game simulation. So we would make the actual 3D model, the whole plane, part per part, and it had to be super accurate. And then we put the people in a VR headset, and then using Unreal, they were able to train and do the things they had to do. There's also healthcare VR. Torch Technologies built a VR anesthesia training simulator on the same Unreal Core as their military training. That one's a little bit dark, but yeah, it's kind of the extent of what they're using it for. Then you have industrial simulation. Companies train workers on billion-dollar equipment in Unreal before they touch the real thing, and that's safer and cheaper. So when you work with metals and stuff like that, it can get really hot, and so it's easier to train or safer to train somebody through VR and XR than it is trying to get them there first. So it's kind of like a prerequisite before you put them somewhere dangerous. That's the same thing for firefighters. Put them in like a VR firefighting situation, and then once they kind of have that habit, put them in the real training simulation or real training situation. And here it is. So we have automotive and architecture. Architecture, I'm sure you guys have already kind of had an idea that it's for that. But for automotive, you have the Rivian. So the Rivian electric trucks use Unreal Engine to power the dashboard and touchscreen UI inside this vehicle. Every time a Rivian owner, like every single time somebody drives the truck, they're interacting with Unreal Engine, which is kind of nuts because it's in a car. I don't know how crazier you can get with saying Unreal Engine is in something than a car. I mean, what that tells me, or what that should tell people, is that when they have qualms about Unreal not being optimized or efficient, being in a car and driving it is one of the most dangerous situations you can be in willingly. But if Unreal can be in a car that's constantly giving you information, and it's updating your vehicle and controlling your vehicle, what else can it be used for, if that makes sense? I mean, later on, this is something that we were working on. It's going to be in tanks and jets. That was my last job. We were working on having Unreal inside of military vehicles like tanks. So, and then architecture and real estate. This one's a little bit more obvious, but not many people go into it, which is kind of like a bummer because there's a lot of money in real estate and there's a lot of money in architecture and real estate using Unreal. So architects and real estate developers use Unreal to let clients walk through buildings before they are built. Real-time ray tracing, lumen lighting, and photorealistic materials make it indistinguishable from a real space. So again, the word digital twin comes out, and it just means a copy of the thing in real life, but digital. So yeah, okay, cool. That's exciting. There's so many things you can use Unreal for, but I'm talking about Unreal like I know so much of it, and you guys like hardly even know who I am. And then, so let me tell you about who I am and show you some of the stuff that I've done before I show you how to get into Unreal. If you're already interested, then cool, that's really nice. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hook you in to see all the cool stuff Unreal does and all the stuff you can use it in before I tell you who I am and what you can do or how you get into Unreal, because that's what matters. It's knowing where it goes, and now you get to know how to use it. But before you get to know how to use it, you have to know who's teaching you, right? So who am I? I'm Marco Antonio Torres. I'm a technical artist and senior Unreal developer, and I'm also a community lead. I'm the lead for the Unreal Engine Houston chapter. And just like I was saying before, I've been in a bunch of places. I've done so much. I'm 33. My back already hurts. I feel old already. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I moved to Texas in 2000. Yeah. I moved to Texas in 2018. I lived in Japan for 4 to 5 years doing a bunch of Marine Corps stuff. So I was a cop as well in the Marine Corps. I taught weaponry. I taught, what is it called? I forgot what it's called. They have a specific name for it. But maps, pretty much maps. And I taught all kinds of stuff. And I also brought in planes. I know it sounds weird and made up, but I had so many different jobs in the Marine Corps because of a program called the Forward Assistant Program or Placement, where I actually got to do a bunch of jobs. Anyways, all that stuff allowed me to be a more well-rounded person. Anyways, going on, I've been using Unreal Engine since 2016. So 2 years, I started 2 years before I moved to San Antonio, Texas. I built virtual simulations for multiple military branches, so the Air Force, the Navy, even NASA, so which is kind of cool. That's why I'm trying to see if I can get in contact with them to do a partnership for Houston. And I worked on Tron Ares. I'm the founder of It Does Interactive, currently freelancing, and I'm building my own game while leading the Unreal Engine Houston chapter. So that's me. That's a nice picture of me. That's the same sweater I'm wearing. So with that, let me show you some. Oh, that's my QR code if you guys want to go to my ArtStation and validate anything I said. I can always give you guys the PowerPoint after. So, okay, I'll leave it there for a few seconds. But this leads to my ArtStation. I'm redoing most of it right now. The only thing I have done is my material overview, which shows all the material types that I've done, and you'll see some really cool stuff. Like it won't have the Tron Ares thing because I didn't do materials for that, but I did do a Top Gun Maverick real-time cinematic with Jace Hansen, and I'll show it in a bit. But you'll see that there. So I'm going to continue now. So here's some of the pictures that I have, because honestly, you can spend more time in the ArtStation. I'd rather just go through this faster. So I've done Future Soldier interfaces for the Apple Vision Pro, and this is what you would see. This is real-time in Unreal. It's just a picture. So, I mean, you'll see the video inside of my ArtStation. I did do a LiDAR UI for Tron Ares. They went with a 2D route instead. But what this does is it was like a bunch of points that took color data and it recreated the environment without the environment being there. So you're able to use this for like UI and stuff like that. Then at the bottom, this is primarily where I started, digital doubles. So I made jets, planes, tanks, like a lot of stuff, honestly, like apparatuses, like equipment for vehicle uses, like or military uses. And then over here, I have my Top Gun Maverick real-time cinematic. That one is also in my art station. And for that one, I worked with Jace Hansen, and he actually worked on Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the guy who does the UI stuff, like the ones that like pop out in front of you. He's the one that does that. He was in the team with me on the Apple Vision Pro stuff. And he was like, Marco, do you want to work on this? I think it would be really cool. And so I was like, yeah. And so we worked together on this, and pretty much I took his UI, put it inside of the Dark Star from Top Gun Maverick, and I recreated the entirety of the cockpit from the Dark Star from that film. And so lighting, cinematics, the rendering, the animations, the materials, and all that stuff. It was the first time I did like a film level thing, and it was very hectic. Moving on. I don't know if it's going to automatically play. But with all that said, not only do I do stuff other than games, I also do games. So I make my own small games. And right now, my current occupation is a game called Channel Breachers. And so that one is, I'll play it here. I'll let it speak for itself.
This is Channel Breachers, where you play as sentient TVs that jump inside a bigger TV to export dead channels. It's inspired by games like Little Nightmares and Repo, but the enemies can't die. They just survive. You collect cursed items, give them to an entity called the consumer, get paid, and then you're thrown into a brand new procedurally generated channel. You can wear dumb hats, use TV channels as tools that only work if other players are actually looking at you, and there are even mini games you play on each other. One of the biggest things, you can turn into a portal and teleport items, enemies, even your friends. It's literally a TV inside.
Marco jump scare.
Inside a TV. Anyways, I'm building this live on Twitch, posting updates on Twitter, and I'll be dropping deeper dives on YouTube. Follow to watch us make it, and join the Discord if you want to.
That's the Discord for the thing.
Interesting game.
Yeah, so I love creative games. I don't like typical just games like first-person horror game or something like that. I like inserting as much creativity into the games. Like one of my projects that I have is a game called Fiber, and it's like a Legend of Zelda classic game, but every texture is handcrafted by crochet. So I literally would crochet the grandma tiles, scan the picture of the grandma tile, put it into Unreal Engine, and then that would be the texture for the materials. And so that I can't just make a game, it has to be interesting. The other game that I'm working on is I'm not working on these two, but not anymore for now. Those are my three main games. But what is it called? It's called Roots Homebound. And so that one is a farming game about death. So the way it works is that you help ghosts, like people who have died. And it's a game, I'm very scared of death. And so you know how they say if you're scared of spiders, what do? You expose yourself to it. And so what I did was I would talk to people about death and loss. And it's not just death, it's like the loss of friendships, the loss of a pet, the loss of your job, things like that. And so that's primarily what the game is. But yeah, I make games with very creative twists. I have to hit escape, I forgot. How do I go back? Why is it doing this? Let me just. All right, cool. I told you what Unreal Engine can be used for and who I am, right? Now, what is Unreal Engine? Finally, right? The question that everybody has been like, I mean, not you guys, because you all pretty much know what Unreal Engine is. But if there was a lot of people here, they'd be asking that. What is Unreal Engine? What is this software? Well, let's get into it.
Unreal Engine, a sweet.
I'm gonna go back. So there's this video called Unreal Engine in 100 Seconds by Fireship. I'd rather have him explain it than me because it's 100 seconds of Unreal Engine. and it's very fast, so pay attention. And after that, I will continue. I will jump off of what he has said. Okay, so.
Unreal Engine, a suite of developer tools for building world-class interactive 3D experiences. It was created by Tim Sweeney at Epic Games in 1995. It's written in C++ and was originally designed for first-person 3D shooter games. Today it's used to build AAA games like Fortnite, or visual effects in TV shows like The Mandalorian, VR simulation in medicine and aviation, in addition to independent games by developers like you. At its core, the engine provides a standard architecture for implementing highly complex requirements, like 3D rendering, physics, animation, ray tracing, and a lot more. All this magic is accessible via its visual editor, where you can easily create levels and fill them with 3D objects called actors. Then to make a game interactive, it provides a visual scripting language called Blueprint, where you can program game logic without ever writing your own C++ code. When your creation is complete, Unreal can package it for desktop, mobile, and virtually any game console or VR platform. To build the next AAA billion-dollar game franchise right now, download the Epic Games launcher, install Unreal Engine, and create a new project. First, go down to the content drawer, which is where all the game assets are saved. From here, we can right-click to create a new level. Then from the top navbar, add our first actor to it, like a shape that the player can collide with. It's currently invisible, but we can change the view mode to wireframe to view its geometry. And notice how it's been added to the outliner here, which is a hierarchy of your game objects. If we select the cube, we can now modify its properties. Its physical shape is defined by a mesh, which we can modify in isolation by clicking it. To make it look cool though, we need to apply a different material to the mesh. We could create a new material from scratch, or use one from the built-in starter content. Looks cool, but now we need some lighting. We could add a light actor, or better yet, use the environment light mixer to quickly add lights and atmosphere to the level. Now we need to create some land. Let's go into landscape mode, choose a material like moss or gravel, then create it. We now have a flat surface to walk on, and we can sculpt it into mountains and valleys with the brush tool. Now go back to selection mode, select the cube, and tick the box to simulate physics. When you click play, you should now see the cube roll down the hill. But a game needs a controllable player, so let's add a character actor to the scene. And now it's time to do some actual programming with blueprints. Create a game mode blueprint to define the rules and scoring system of your game, then another blueprint for the character, then give the character a brain with a controller blueprint. If we open that blueprint, we can start coding game logic here in the event graph. Begin play runs when the level first loads, while tick runs on every frame. Now there are tons of built-in functions that you can run in response to these events, like print string. We can execute this function on every frame by connecting it to the tick event. And now when we run the game, it won't stop printing hello world. With blueprints, you connect events, nodes, functions, and variables together to create interactive game elements. This has been Unreal Engine in 100 seconds. Hit the like button and let me know if you want to see it.
Okay, so now that we've watched that, you guys are professionals. Now we can make a company and make the next clear obscure. So who wants to join? All right, so like Fireship said in 100 seconds, more succinctly than I could in like 300 seconds or 5 minutes. Wait, is 300 seconds 5 minutes? It might be. So yeah, a collection of developer tools for building interactive 3D games, simulations, and visualizations. So it was developed by Epic Games. It was first released in 1998. Tim Sweeney first started it in 1995. The language that you use is C++ and Blueprint. Yes, they can work together. It's not a fight. You don't say one versus the other. You say C++ can build like the fundamental actors and stuff like that, and then Blueprints can pull from that, and then you can use those two together to create the game that you want to create. There are some things Blueprint cannot do and C++ can. Like let's say trying to get data from splines or something, or landscape splines. You can't really do that from Blueprints. You have to go into C++ and then pull that using C++. But you can then expose that to Blueprint after you're done. So yeah, your platforms are Windows, Mac, and Linux. I'm gonna kind of dispel something right away, very fast. Don't get scared. You can hold hands. You can develop stuff on Mac. Mac does work. It is okay. No, do not say no. Nobody should be scared of working on Mac. I use it for professional, clients, and I've been using it for like 5 years now. It is 100% a viable solution. The only difference is that you cannot package from Mac for Windows. So if I make channel breachers on Mac, I have to ask somebody else or get another computer to package for Windows, but I can package for Mac. There are some plugins that you cannot use on Mac, but it's the same thing if like the person made the plugin for Mac and then you can't use it on Windows. So the only thing you can, or one thing you can do is go into that plugin's default, the default INI, I always forget, like its editor file, and change and allow that to be a platform that you can package on by literally putting 2 more quotation marks and then typing Mac. Sometimes plugins allow you to do that and it'll work after that. So it really depends. Your mileage may vary. And there are some things, again, that Mac can't do but inside of the editor, but you can do outside of the editor. So like building age slots, and that's something that you guys might not know what it is. It's like a fake distant group of meshes that are then baked together. You cannot do that on Mac in the editor, but you can run, like I think it's an applet, or you can run from the terminal, you can run that same code. Hello. That same code. And then what it'll do is it'll run it outside of the editor, and then your age slots will be built. So no more worrying about, you can't do this on Mac. With Metal 5, which Mac uses, most of the things inside of Unreal are just perfect. It just runs perfectly. I have not had dumb issues in like forever. So again, dispelling the Mac fear, let's breathe in. Mac is not scary. Mac is not scary. Okay, so yeah, so the latest is UE 5.7.3, and UE 5.7.3 introduced like a bunch of stuff, right? And if you guys ever get a chance to use it, it's super cool. They just made PCG it just got its first initial 1.0 release. Not its beta or alpha, it's actual full release. And I love PCG, which is a program. It is a procedural content generation system or plugin inside of Unreal. So the evolution of Unreal is UDK in 2009, UE4 in 2014, and then UE5 in 2021. UE5 2021 was a very controversial year because UE5, what it did was, wow, look at all these awesome things like Nanite and Lumen and World Partition, and then I guess the gaming people that don't understand development, they're like, ew, UE5, it's unoptimized, it's all this stuff, and Unreal sucks and all that stuff, but Unreal is as optimized as the developers make it. Not the company, not the software, the developers who make that game that you think is unoptimized. They're the ones that failed you. So, continuing on. All right. We saw the different ways that Unreal is used for, right? We saw that it's used for games, film and virtual production, military and defense, architecture and real estate, automotive, and XR, VR simulation. We saw the stuff that it's made for. And you're super interested in going into Unreal, and you're like, okay, but it is super intimidating. First of all, I have so many questions. Where do I start? What can I get into? How do I start? Yada, yada, yada. Let's go through one by one. First question is, what are my paths? Like, what can you do? What can you do? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be a programmer? Do you want to be a sound designer? All right. Then here are some of the roles in the Unreal ecosystem. There's Unreal has like so many ways you can approach it, but here are some of my suggestions of disciplines that you can kind of look for if you want to get into it. The first one being 3D artist. It's that person that models characters, models objects, or models characters and assets, and they can make an environment. But typically, an environment artist is all the way down there, and they work on different stuff. It's kind of mixed. They're overlapping, but the 3D artist is kind of like a generalist at modeling. Then you have lighting artists, mood, realism, and performance in scenes. They're the ones that make Doom look grimy and red and dark because of the lighting, not just the textures. It's one of those things where the models can look like the models, but with the right lighting, then it looks different. Like a nighttime lighting can change the way a room feels versus day and happy lighting. Yeah, day and happy lighting. Then you have a technical artist. That's me. That's what I do. We bridge art and code. We create shaders. We create tools for the artists or the developers to use inside of Unreal Engine, whether that's at the UI level or in the game level when you have to make like a sign that whenever you type the name of the sign, it gets longer. That's something that I've made before. Where like that, let's say you have like a sign that's like this, and this one's like hallway something road. The longer that text is, the longer that sign is. Stuff like that. And then at the UI level, it's stuff like, inside of the UI for Unreal, I'm going to create a widget that snaps to your editor where I can control the time of day for the game. And and change like different variables that will change the game for me without having to go to those actors and manually changing them in their detail panels. So it's like a global editor panel thing that you can make. VR, AR developers. I used to be that. I still kind of am. So that's where you create like your Apple Vision Pro stuff, your Oculus Quest stuff. That one can be a little bit more difficult, but what's difficult in this one can be more difficult in the other one. What I'm saying is VR and AR is kind of like you become a developer for this is the same as someone becoming a 2D developer. It's not so much harder than another discipline or another platform. It's just different. So they both have their own difficulties, and it's just how you go about it and how you learn is just different. So then you have a game designer. I'm also that. You create mechanics, systems, and player experience. You're a little bit more away from the actual hands-on, but you do establish kind of like the rules of the game, the laws, and the way the players interact with the game. You have virtual production TA, and so that's different. That's for actually manning either the cameras, or not really the cameras, but the way the screens work when you're doing virtual production, like The Mandalorian. Those are the people that make the scene or set up the scene and change it for when the director needs you to adjust something. So like that actually might be one of the more exciting, newer ways of using Unreal. And so I've seen a lot of people actually want to go into that versus other facets of Unreal. And then you have environment artists. It's like a souped up 3D artist. 10 more minutes? Okay, I'm almost done. But yeah, that's world building, terrain, and then lighting setup as well, but that's more towards the like world setup and not just specific lighting scenarios. So continuing on. Okay, cool. I saw the many paths that you illustrated, Marco, but my problem is how to get started. All the tools are free. The only thing in the way is you guys. Like the tools are there, Unreal's there, you can download it. Yes, you can say, well, it takes up too much space on my computer. That's not really an Unreal problem, is it? That's something for you to figure out with your computer or something else. But actually, it might be a little bit of Unreal. Here are some tips on how to actually start, all right? It's a lot more accessible than you think. Number one, download Unreal. That's the first one. It's free on Epic Games. There's no excuses. You can just download it, download 5.7.3, and that's number one. I don't think I can go any more than that. Number two, start with blueprints. It doesn't require coding. Don't be afraid of coding because, C++, coding might be hard. Just try to start with blueprints. Think of it like I said, Minecraft Redstone for logic. I came back to it. It's like Minecraft. If you've played Minecraft Redstone, if you have Redstone here and it connects to this other thing and this switch is supposed to make this thing open up, it's literally the same thing. And all it is nodes that have code inside. It's like compact code that do a bunch of things together. And then you can make your own later as functions or custom events. But yeah, start with blueprints. That would be a really good starting point to learn how to program and get into it. Then pick a focus. So this one's kind of like I say this now because some people they want to do everything inside of Unreal. Take it from somebody who's applied to different jobs as a generalist. It is much harder to get a job as a generalist than it is for somebody to pick a focus like technical artist or groom effects, and you would get a job much faster that way or easier because you're focused on one thing versus a bunch of things. But yeah, pick a focus, games, environment, animation, VR, pick one lane and just go deep with that. And if you really want to be a generalist, then do it. If you want to know Unreal more in depth, then do it. Nothing's stopping you. But it can be a little bit more confusing and intimidating that way. Use the community, Unreal Docs, Unreal Forums, YouTube. These are my favorite programmers inside of for the Unreal community. If you want to start with programming, these are the three: Ryan Laley, Matthew Watstein, and my overall top favorite, Tom Lumen. This guy is a god. I love Tom Lumen. For C++, he's amazing. But use the Unreal Docs, Unreal Forums. And if you really have to, you can use ChatGPT or Claude, but I would use it more to learn and not to do it for you. And make sure that you go and verify your resources. So the last one, which is something that's going to happen tomorrow, do a game jam, right? People here are going to go into game jams, like the one happening tomorrow. build something, just anything. Get with a group of friends, do something. That is the best way to learn, and that is the best way to get your feet wet. So, what if your problem is not starting? I've heard it from some people here. My problem is not starting. My problem is continuing, being consistent. Okay, well, the mindset matters as much as the tools. How to actually keep going. Be quick, iterative, and rough, because perfection kills momentum. I have this thing called the library. It's this idea in my head that if you're tasked to do a library and you focus so much on making the book models perfect, you will never finish the library. Does that make sense? Just try and get the books done as fast as possible. You can always come back. So yeah, be quick, iterative, and rough. Unreal moves fast, stay current with new tools and features. PCG's out. There's a new what are they called? Mega Lights, which is the new lighting system for Unreal. Not Lumen, but a new method to get lights to be optimized, I guess. It's kind of like Nanite, but for lights. But keep on top of Unreal's newest tools, because if you get left behind, it's harder to learn that way. And then, companies want people who know the newest tools more than they want people who just stay in the, they don't keep up. You get what I'm saying. Anyways, insert game can wait, put in the hours. It used to say Smash Brothers can wait. I thought it was kind of ironic. But the games that you're playing right now can wait. Dedicate some time to learning Unreal, or to whatever. If you're using Unity, put some time into it, like 30 minutes, an hour, as long as you're constantly learning or consistently learning. Don't be intimidated. It's a robust engine, but it's accessible. It is a modular engine as well. But again, don't be intimidated. You will be able to learn it. It took me like 10 years to be this confident to say that. But that's because I went into everything and not just one thing. Find your people, community is how you grow faster. This is what you guys are doing right now. You came over here, you listened to my talk, and this is a community. So with that, if communities is how you grow faster, okay, Marco, how do I find a community? Cool. Join your community. You don't have to build one. Unreal Engine Texas. There it is. So a statewide community for Unreal developers across Texas. There's the QR code. I think some of you have already used it. Hello. It's all the chapters together: Houston, Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. We have monthly meetups and workshops. We're starting to do that, but several of us have monthly meetups for our own chapters, but Houston already does that. That's why I'm here. So render jams and game jams soon. So if you really want to do some game jams, those are going to be starting soon. Same thing for render jams. We have portfolio reviews and networking soon as well. And the job board and community resources are already there. So that stuff is already laid out for you guys. All you have to do is join the community and go into those channels and forums and use those resources. Thank you to the esports and IT departments at here, Brazosport College. And that is it. Thank you. My name is Marco Antonio Torres. I am, again, the Unreal Engine Houston chapter lead, and I appreciate you guys coming here.
Awesome. Thank you. We really
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Having us.